All right, we got the draft behind us, most of free agency behind us, but still a lot of question marks out there. Aaron Rodgers still hasn't decided. Micah Parsons still hasn't been re-upped by the Dallas Cowboys. Tyreek Hill could potentially be traded. The Hall of Fame game kicks things off July the 31st, the last day of July. This is the last day of April. We've got 3 months to go, and Mike Renner is going to bring his 5 moves that need to happen over the next several months. And we're going to start with the Kansas City Chiefs. Why do you want KC to make a move for a former top 5 pick just 3 years ago?
I think because, Kayvon Thibodeau is buried on the depth chart there in New York after drafting Abdul Carter. I don't think he's going to be happy after being a 3-year starter, getting relegated to a backup role there. So that's one. And then two, we talked about in the last segment, after losing Turk Wharton, it really is just George Karlaftis and Chris Jones. They don't have a plan C there that can get after the passer. Their former first-rounder, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, guy played only 358 snaps last year. Couldn't even see the football field. So if they want to get back to a Super Bowl, and obviously they're still in this window, they need to upgrade their pass rush. And Kayvon Thibodeau is one of the few guys on the market that could do just that. And he's on a contract for 2 more years. So you get 2 years of him. That seems like an attractive option if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs.
Chiefs have been to 7 straight conference championship games. This season will mark 30 years since the last conference title game appearance for the Dallas Cowboys. And Mike, they surprised us again on draft weekend, not taking a single wide receiver.
Yeah, I could not believe it. That's why I think they may be in the market for a veteran. A trade. Tyreek Hill has obviously been very vocal about it. I think it just makes too much sense because right now, as it stands, CeeDee Lamb, Jonathan Mingo, Jalen Tolbert. That's your 3 deep. Outside of CeeDee Lamb, it's going to be like 200 targets for CeeDee Lamb again. This offense and this team, truthfully, if you're just stacking it up in the East, they might be at 4 now. They might have been passed up by the Giants. I mean, they're at least a clear tier behind the Eagles and Commanders. This is not a playoff team. And for as much as they're paying this roster and have some highly paid guys, when that's the case, you think you're in a window. When you're paying your quarterback that sort of money, you're doing it because you think you're in a window. And they're just not right now. This could get you in that sort of window if you add a piece like Tyreek Hill. Obviously, the Dolphins would have to eat some of the cap space to do it. But with them in a rebuild as it stands, I think they'd be more than willing to if the draft compensation was right.
And, Mike, you have another one for the Cowboys. It's not a move, but it is a must. What is it?
It's extend Micah Parsons. Don't wait till the last minute. That's why you're in this cap situation. That's why you're falling behind in the East. You just saw Myles Garrett go for $40 million per year. If Aiden Hutchinson comes back healthy, the Lions are going to do the right thing by him and extend him at the first opportunity they can, and he's going to get more than $40 million a year. Well, that means the price for Parsons just goes up and up every single year because obviously, given his history, he's going to want to be the highest paid guy in football, and he rightfully has earned that right. So the price tag's only going to go up. Get it done now so you can get some cap relief from him on that year 5 of his deal because you can make that number smaller this year, push it down in the future. You just got to do it, Dallas. It makes too much sense. So, yeah, I think the Micah Parsons deal, if it waits to the last minute, they're going to have to pay top dollar once again.
Okay, a couple more moves that Mike Renner says need to be made before the season begins. The Minnesota Vikings yesterday extended an all-pro defender in Andrew Van Ginkel, 1 year, $23 million. But what big move would you like to see Minnesota make on defense?
I think they need to trade for a cornerback. They've lost a lot of pieces from that secondary. Stephon Gilmore, Cam Bynum. This cornerback group right now with like Isaiah Rodgers, Mekhi Blackman, Byron Murphy, it's ugly. If you really think you're in a championship window, you need to be better than that at the cornerback position. And obviously, Jalen Ramsey requested a trade. I think he's perfect for Brian Flores' defense. I think he'd even be an upgrade from Stephon Gilmore and what he was a year ago and bring you back to that potential. So it's a move that if I'm looking around the NFL and who makes the most sense, it's the Minnesota Vikings. I think they can afford to make a play like this when you have that cheap rookie contract in J.J. McCarthy.
The Vikings took themselves out of that Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes thing, and here we sit, final day of April, and we still don't have an answer from Aaron Rodgers on the Steelers or anybody else. So what's that move that needs to be made?
It's just he needs to sign with the Steelers. Not for the Steelers' sake, but for our sake. We got to stop talking about this. I don't want to come on this show every week and say where Aaron Rodgers is going. We all know it's the Steelers or he's retiring. No one else wants him at this point, and we know you're not starting Mason Rudolph. We just don't lie to us. We know he's not your starting quarterback. So, yeah, Aaron Rodgers, I think he can work out. I think he's in a great spot. If he did anything well last year, it was throw those sideline back shoulders, go balls. He just didn't have the best receivers for that. Pittsburgh might have the best receivers in the NFL in that regard, in George Pickens and DK Metcalf. So I think the fit can work. It's just let's help us stop talking about it here.
Please, your mouth to God's ears. Mike Renner joining us here on HQ with 5 moves that need to be made, preferably in the next week, as far as Aaron Rodgers goes. Jacqueline, you requested this promo slate, so go ahead.
I did. Yes, CBS Sports HQ. News, highlights, scores, everything you need. It is all right here, and it is all for free on HQ.
Perfect.
Yeah, how was that?
Just magnificent.
All right, let's talk about the association, because there's a lot of superstars, Chris. We're going to talk superstars and landing spots later. But first, you got to talk about bets.
Yeah, we're going to get some winning plays, hopefully, from Sportsline's Mackenzie Brooks, because we have a couple of potential closeout games. The Rockets and the Lakers trying to stay afloat tonight.